Today, I thought it would be fun to go through 1-star reviews of some of my favorite books. Not all of these, I don't think at least. I don't think I gave all of these books 5 stars. Actually, that's a lie. I think I did give all of the books that I'm looking at today 5 stars. But going through and finding 1-star reviews of these books was pretty funny for the most part. Some of the 1-star reviews went really hard for some of these. Especially the last one, which we can get into, but I was hoping for this video to just find kind of funny ones. Nothing that's like super critical on the book or the author, like nothing that's very targeted, but just something to kind of joke around and laugh at. And I think I found some good ones. I was chuckling to myself when I found these. So starting off with one of my favorite books from last year, which is Little Thieves. I adored this book. I already want to reread it. I read this in like March or April of last year, and I read a lot of really great, really popular books, but I think this story I love it. I love the characters in it, but not everybody did. Not everybody feels the same way. So the first one I found is a little long, but it says, I started out really liking this novel. It's an interesting take on the Goose Girl fable, and the various small gods and their manifestations/abilities were intriguing and compelling. Unfortunately, there was just too much happening, which made the novel drag unnecessarily under the weight of the 74, or what felt like 74, concurrent plots, many of which could have been the basis of a novel in its own right. There's the Goose Girl plot, the detective plot, the horrible husband plot, the castle politics plot, the secret backstory plot, the deathly curse plot, the demon cat plot, the debt to the gods plot, and the godly court plot. Plus all the other plots that spring up from the relationships, the main characters' 3 different identities and histories. About 1/3 of the way into this book, I was exhausted and annoyed, which severely hampered my ability to enjoy reading the remaining 2/3 of the book. I'm sure many will love this work, and there's genuinely a lot to love. I just lacked the stamina to care about so many plotline offshots for a newly introduced morally gray main character. That one was a mouthful, but I thought it was really funny when she was talking about all the different like subplots in the story, and there is like a lot that goes on. I didn't find it to be too overwhelming personally, but I could see how somebody would. The other one I found said, could not get into this story. It should have been something that would keep me interested. However, I put it down and never cared to finish it, which is understandable. It took me like 60 or 80 pages to really get into this book. So I specifically remember talking to my boyfriend about it because he bought this book for me, and I was like, I forgot whatever mark it was, but I was like, it's so good now. I finally understand everything that's going on. So it did take me a bit. I find that very understandable. Next I have Book Lovers by Emily Henry. This is my favorite Emily Henry novel. I really loved Nora. I just loved everything about this book. This was one of the first books I read when getting back into reading, so I would be interested to reread it and see if I still feel the same way, but the reviews for this one say, it is so cliche while trying to poke fun at how other conventional romances are cliche. I hate it when novels have this I am not like other romance novels shtick going on. Really enjoyed Henry's other book, but this one was a miss for me. And that's like the plot of this book. This plot is like making fun of small town romances, and then she like has her own small town romance. Yeah, I didn't get too annoyed by it, but understandable. The next one just says, the real romance was between Nora and her Peloton. I chuckled. And the last one just says, LMAO, what is this? I've never struggled through a romance book as much as I did with this one. Nora, mid. Charlie, mid. Livy, mid. I'm sorry, but there's not a single thing about this book that makes up for the fact that there is no substance to it. It feels like Emily Henry considered every trope that sells and decided to bunch them up and incorporated them into this mess of a book. Some of it was just so unappealing. I'm so disappointed. Sad face. I was so into the siblings' relationship until they unironically referred to each other as Sissy. Please. And these, like I said, they just made me chuckle. Next, The Last Word. This is my first like true 5-star read of this year of 2024. So of course I wanted to see what 1-star reviews there were for a thriller. And the first one says, not me giving this book 1 star when it's about someone who gets stalked by a crazy author after giving their book a 1 star, but did I read the same book as everybody else? Also, The Last Word equals katana. If I took a shot every time this man whipped around his katana, I'd be dead. Taylor, don't come for me, please. The next one says, what did I just read? It started out okay, seemed like a simple thriller, then it quickly went absolutely crazy and just stayed there until the end. Literary plot twists and turns are one thing, but this was a full-on epilemic seizure of a plot. I don't even have words to describe this other than absolutely bonkers. Like, are we sure the author is okay? And this book is pretty bonkers. I think that's why I liked it, because I don't always enjoy adult thrillers because sometimes they just feel like too eerie and like this could happen, but this one is pretty bonkers. But this is just a difference of opinion. I loved it for its bonkers plot lines. Oh, I do have one more just because I thought it was funny. It says, I don't know if anybody actually reads these, but if you do, don't read this book. Next I have Check and Mate by Ali Hazelwood. This was her YA debut, and the main characters are in the competitive world of chess. So 1-star reviews for this say, the dialogue and characters were very immature. Please never reference TikTok, Riverdale, or Timothée Chalamet in a book. The cringe was unbearable. And I'm not gonna lie, I remember when it talked about Riverdale, I was like, what is going on? Understandable. The next one says, yo, nobody told me that YA now stands for Yawns Anonymous. And let me tell you, I've never been more tempted to join a support group. Thanks, Allie! Exclamation point. The next one I have is Foul Lady Fortune. I loved this book. The first time I read this book, I gave it a 4.5, but then I just kept on thinking about it. And I reread it when the second book came out. So when I read it for the second time, I gave it 5 stars, which it deserved from the start. So I enjoyed this book. I thought it was a lot of fun. Not everybody agreed. It says, this was a big no for me. Confusing and boring. So boring and historically messy, which is accurate. It was pretty historically messy. So much description and backstory and about 20% actual story happening. I found it hard to wrap my head around a bunch of teenagers being government spies. To be fair, I think they're in their early 20s. Not much of a difference, but like just a little bit. Tasked with basically pointless missions that they aren't good at, like working at a newspaper agency where they don't actually do any newspaper work. Rosalind's superpower is also pointless and lends 0 to the plot. And why are we acting like she should look like an old hag at 24? Confused. Speaking of confused, everybody has between 3 to 5 different names, so good luck keeping track. There's also so many different sexual preferences that have absolutely nothing to do with the plot or the story in any way whatsoever. It's sort of like the author just wanted to check as many boxes as possible in the plot twist. Like once you get it over the head with the first one, they just keep coming and coming and coming. And one last complaint, the romance goes from 0 to I love you and I want to marry you faster than you can say Foul Lady Fortune. It was kind of a long one, but I thought most of it was really funny. There were definitely some critiques in it, but overall, it made me laugh. The other one I found just says, I finished, but at what cost? Honestly, how are any of these people spies? Next, I have a favorite of mine. Oh my gosh, I picked up the wrong one. Well, this is Clockwork Prince, but just pretend it's the first book in the series, because the last one probably is my favorite, but I felt like it would make the most sense to look at 1-star reviews for the first book in the series, because people who don't like it probably didn't really read the last one. So this is for Clockwork Angel. And they said, honestly, if I could, I would add this book to a shelf that goes by the name so boring that I had to Wikipedia the ending, but damn the character limit on Goodreads, damn you, shakes fist. Truth be told, I found this book so boring that I did actually have to Wikipedia the ending to find out what happens, because unlike Miss Claire, Wikipedia actually recalled it in an interesting way, and this is a website that any common citizen of the world can edit without any degree in English whatsoever. Next, I have a review for Crescent City, House of Earth and Blood, which is the first one in the Crescent City series. I love this book. This is my favorite book in the series. It's one of the few books I tabbed. You can't see because they're a very light color. But the review for this says, 5 ingredients to an instant success. Number 1. A world of shapeshifters, vampires, fays, and angels, probably with a council for each. Angels rule! ! Number 2, a protagonist, half-breed, with a secret. Number 3, trigger, gruesome murder of a best friend. Number 4, love interest, very, very, very scary angel. Should constantly remind the public how scary he is, throws lightning at will, has a skull cap, and should be nicknamed the Winged Death, or something on this line. He also should have a badass dog named like Ajax, Brutus, or Hunt. Number 5, budding romance, snapping at each other, and probably having hot sex at the end. If you have all of these, you do not need to create 3D characters with a or write a captivating story! The public will surely love you! I thought that recipe for success was funny. The next one says, even if my tired brain did enjoy this like one would enjoy a season of Real Housewives, I have too much self-respect to give it a higher rating. And honestly, that one's kind of valid. There are some books that I read that I compare to watching like reality TV or like a soap opera telenovela. Crescent City can I could see the comparison to reality TV. I compare Magnolia Parks to reality TV. Just like a trashy feel good, and I treat Fourth Wing like a soap opera, like telenovela, because it's just ridiculous. So I can understand this comparison and comment. Next, I have A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. This was unbelievably cringe and cringeably unbelievable. Am I seriously ought to believe that a 17-year-old know-it-all girl solved a case the police couldn't in less than a month? Are police forces really that dumb? Yeah, they used to be back in the 70s, but in 2012, they closed a case without digging further? Anyone with a functional brain would have realized that something was wrong with that case, but no one actually pointed it out until this 17-year-old genius who knows how to solve a murder case in the best way possible showed up, and boom, here's the murderer you've been looking for, apparently. I just thought that was funny. I have a feeling the person who wrote this review just should not be reading like YA detective mystery books. It does not seem like it's their jam, because that is like the blueprint for any YA like detective, like crime solving book. Next I have Daisy Jones and the Six, and it says, flip to any page and I can tell you what's happening. Daisy is doing drugs. Daisy is doing stupid stuff as a result of drugs. Simone is hoping for Daisy to seek rehab. Hit songs are being crafted. Billy is fighting back addiction for his family. Eddie is whining over his lack of creative control. Other characters mumble something unimportant. So disrespectful to leave Karen out of that, but I thought it was funny. That is quintessentially the novel. Next, I have Babel by R.F. Kuang. And let me tell you, it was hard to find a 1-star review that was funny. Most of the 1-star reviews for this did not fit the vibe I was going for. To be fair, this book talks about colonialism and imperialism, so it is a more serious book, so the comments on it were more serious, but I did find some gems in the 1-star category. So it says DNF. I don't understand why everybody is so in love with this book. It was so pretentious and boring. I never had feelings either way about the work of translating, but now I hope I never meet a translator in my life if they are anything like this book. You would think the author puts translators on the same level as brain surgeons or rocket scientists. And the endless lecturing, I just don't care. A study of words and their meanings is just not all that interesting. A couple of paragraphs would have been good. Hundreds of pages felt like being back in the most boring, soul-sucking college class. And the other one I found, because I felt this at many times, I felt seen by this 1-star review. It says, all I'm gonna say is this, I am too dumb for this. But that was the funniest I could find for Babel. I honestly thought that finding 1-star reviews of some of my favorite books would be a lot worse than it is, because I'm not gonna lie, there are times when I go to like leave my rating on Goodreads, and sometimes I'll see like what some people are saying about the book, and I'll be like, oh damn, like yeah, I guess that was kind of weird, or that was kind of not great. But this was overall a more enjoyable experience than I had anticipated, and I would definitely do it again. I wonder if it would be funny to look at 5-star reads of books I didn't like. But anyways, let me know if any of these 10 books are books that you really enjoyed, or if you agree more with the 1-star reviews. But thanks for watching.